Hi folks, my name is Luke Smales and today I'm joined by Ryan Holmes and we're going to briefly talk about a look at music and the music scene in general. Ryan, you wouldn't mind telling the people there what you do?
Of course, I've been playing in the music scene for probably like the last 6-7 years, just in loads of different bands. But at the moment I'm playing drums for a band called Hothouze. We're working on an album at the minute and that's what I've been doing the last couple of years anyway.
That's good. I also play in bands, by the way. Oh, dead playing bands, not anymore.
No biggie.
But I was playing, I think it was a few bands briefly a few years ago, but sort of now I just play guitar just to have a bit of crack. But Ryan, I'll start talking about what sort of got you into music.
Well, I kind of got into music because my family was pretty musical already. My uncle was a class guitarist and I always watched him and I was like, I'd love to do something to do with music. And whenever I was about like 10 or 11, my mum was trying to get me to play guitar and all, and I was like, I just kept looking at him and how good he was, and I was like, I don't really know if I want to play guitar. I was a bit intimidating, kind of. So I picked up drums when I was like 10 or 11, and since then I just didn't look back. I've been playing drums, and I play guitar now as well, but like, and play guitar in a few other bands, but like, I mainly play drums for the last nine or so years.
Yeah. You see, I always wanted to play drums, but don't have the coordination
They're super
at all.
hard.
But when I started playing, I wasn't really into music when I was younger. See, I'd say I was about 13 or 14. I didn't really listen to music. I was more into like just doing whatever. I can't remember what I was doing. Before then, I started listening to music. Started listening to like Arctic Monkeys, Strokes, stuff like that there. And I started listening to it. I was like, I'd love to do it. I was like listening to it and being like, I want to do this. And eventually I booked guitar lessons in the Nerve. And started doing that. And I mean, like, I absolutely loved it. Fell in love. Played for a few years and just didn't stop at all.
Class.
But see the likes of like your family and saying they're very musical and stuff. My family weren't musical at all. See, I was like sort of an anomaly in that sense. And I was just, it was really weird because I was the only person that played instruments, so I had no one really do like, you know, like you play with other musicians, you have somebody like relate to talk about, you know, music things, learning stuff, getting into bands. But see, getting into music from like a bystander's point was very hard. Like, cause like you would know people in bands. Once you're by yourself, you start talking to people, reaching out. It's a lot of networking as well. You know yourself.
Easy.
But I'll start talking about like what inspired you to make music.
Well, kind of a similar thing like with a family, but like I think I was really inspired to make music. I was doing like when I was doing my lessons, and I started like becoming friends with people that were doing music when I was like probably like 13 odd, and like they were a lot older than me, and they were saying like, oh, we want to do a band, we want to start gigging, we want to do this and all. And I was kind of like, man, this is like, I'd love to like just properly do this like all the time. Like it was just instantly, I just felt so passionate about it, and I wanted to just create music like all the time, and that's why I joined so many bands. Like, and I was just kind of like, literally, if anybody needed a drummer or they needed somebody to play guitar and anything, I was like, oh, I'm there, like. And I was just more the passionate really, and then like obviously I have loads of inspirations musically. Like Rory Gallagher was my favorite like musician when I was growing up, and absolutely adored him. And then like a Smashing Pumpkins as well, like inspired me a lot too. That love of Smashing Pumpkins. Like Jimmy Chamberlain as a drummer, he's kind of like, I took so much influences from him, and it's just.
See, the way drumming is like, I don't understand actual rhythms to drumming. I would see, as a guitar player, you're absolutely like just dumb. They drum. Like drum doesn't make any sense to you, but you see, like I know when I can hear good drums. Like you're probably the same when you know you hear guitar. Like life is like Slipknot. Slipknot probably has some of the best drums in it.
Crazy
of all time. But I was the same. I was in a few bands. Obviously, I don't really play anymore. I'm more media focused now. But when I was in bands, I absolutely loved it. But I found making music so hard. Like, it's one of them things that seems so easy when you're watching, say, like, the Beatles. They've so many live rehearsals and them coming up with like their best #1 songs of all time. But I'll talk about like, how would you see when you're in your band Hothouze? How would you come up with music?
Well, it's kind of it's sometimes it's hard, like, because you just kind of hit a wall and you're like not really able to get anything to stick, and you're just playing stuff. You're playing these riffs over and over again, and just nothing's really happening. Or like, but it really is just kind of, it's a group effort. Like a lot of music kind of just comes around from messing around, like just jamming. Like a lot of the best songs that I've wrote with bands, it's just kind of us messing about, and then the guitar comes in, the drums come in, and we're like, alright, this sounds kind of good, and then we kind of like record it, and then like whoever's doing vocals starts singing on it. It always feels like no good song is ever like written on purpose. It's just kind of
always by accident.
It's always by accident, and that's what's, you know, that's why it's creative. That's why it's like just kind of. That's why bands are a good environment, where it's like, you know what I mean, you can sit and write songs by yourself, and you could like go to the band, I want to play this song, but it might not sound good as a band because you've sat and wrote it by yourself, and like the band might not click with it and all.
Putting other creatives in that as well. See you might write something that's about, say it's about naff or whatever, like if you bring it into your other bandmates, they can come in, put in, like no, I want to tweak this. It was even like, I think it was Tony Iommi, Black Sabbath. It was Paranoid. He was like, he does a warm up on his riffs, and it was like, I think it was like 3 notes off Paranoid, and they were like, no, I really like that. He's like, I just do these rhythms, they warm up, and end up being one of the biggest songs of all time.
Literally.
What would you say? How would you describe the music Hothouze makes? What type of genre?
Hothouze is one, like, I just joined Hothouze like last year. I replaced their old drummer, and the genre, like I was kind of intimidated at first because the genre that they don't really have a genre. It's just kind of like a mishmash of all these different kind of things. Like
there's a lot of pop and like
there's poppy stuff, then there's like bluesy stuff, like out of nowhere. Like they were showing me all the songs whenever I joined, and I was like cool, and then all of a sudden they're playing like a blues song, and I was like, where did this come from? And then there's like funk songs, like disco-y, like drum beats and stuff, and I was like.
Even they have like an electro version of one of their songs, like have an electro version of one of their songs.
That's crazy. It's a lot to keep up with, because like I think when I joined Hothouze, I had like 3 weeks to learn all the songs for like a gig. That's when they got me in, and I was like, this is crazy. Like this is so stressful. Like as someone that's never even like, I never even played in bands that were bluesy or like were poppy or. And it was kind of really super intimidating, the amount of just different genres that are just kind of mishmashing. But I suppose it's just James, the writer, he just kind of has loads of influences and loves music, so he just writes whatever he's feeling at the time.
James would be more like the founder of the band. I think you would like allow me to say this. I think it is James's band.
No, it's James's band.
But I think these are the bandmates, and like obviously you come up together. But I think overall James sort of like he has that creative vision in mind for this band. But as you said before, talking about like changing genres, I found that very hard. See, when I was playing like hard rock, and then I would play with, say, some other musicians I play with, they would be playing jazz and blues, and I would feel like absolutely not prepared to play with them at all.
And it's not that you couldn't play it, it's just that you're not used to playing it. So
it's so strange.
It's crazy. Like James, like, he'll pitch all these songs, and I literally will never know where to start with them. I was actually really intimidating coming on late as well, because the last drummer, Tom, he had drum parts for every song, but there was no recordings of them. So they were like, I would come into practice, and they would be like describing the drums to me, not knowing how to play drums, and I'm just sitting there like.
It goes like.
and then they're like, no, not like that, and I'm like, whoa, I don't know.
It's always really weird, but I'll talk about, see as well with Hothouze, obviously it's a Derry band, it's a local band, but see the past few years, I think the music scene's really changed. Well, like you would know, say about 5 years ago, music scene would be completely different.
It's crazy different.
How would you find it now compared to then?
I think now it's ran a lot differently now. I feel like a lot of bands are just, it used to be more that every single gig was run by like promoters and stuff, but it seems like more and more now it's just bands like organising their own gigs.
It's
and
very
like,
independent
it's
now.
very, very independent now, and I kind of like that. It's good and it's bad because like back in the day, like it used to be like promoters used to bring like loads of bands from like maybe over in England and stuff, or like maybe other places in Ireland. They come up and play in Derry, but now it just kind of seems like you're just kind of hearing the same Derry bands.
You are like left to your
recycle.
own devices. There's no encouragement either of saying like, oh, we'll have a band night. Like no one, like I remember 5 years ago, you could go see a band every day of the week.
Every single day.
It was so
it
easy.
was crazy, but now it's kind of just more pick and mix, and then it's really different. And the genre wise as well, I think it's really, really diverse now. Whereas back in the day, I think you had punk, and then you had like indie pop, and that was it.
It was sort of like there wasn't like, I think it was very narrow in the mix of genres. Now there's like a lot of singer-songwriter. There's even like there's a band, Tessio, who are basically just like Simon and Garfunkel. But they probably hate me for saying that, but they are. But there's a lot of jazz bands too. There's a lot of influence taken from a lot of different bands, but it seems like you're not just a musician, you're like your own organizer. You're like, you have to do everything, and like you have to want to do it too. But back 5 years ago, you'd have loads of promoters like being like, oh, here, play here, we'll sort it all out, we'll get all your gig and stuff sorted, you just come and play. Now it's like, oh well, if I want to put on my own event, I have to go to whoever owns the bar, get promotions, be able to sell out the bar. If you're not able to sell
pay
out the
for
bar,
the venue as
yeah,
well.
exactly. They're not gonna want you there if you can't sell them out and you're using up all their rooms.
It's crazy. It's a completely different skill set that you have to learn as well. Like I feel like back in the day, it was kind of just easier. They just kind of like coast and like just have loads of people just throwing gigs at you. But now it's kind of like you have to market yourself, and like on like Instagram and like Facebook and all. Like it's crazy. Like the skills that you have to learn apart from music, like even with like the way that music is at the minute, like everything that everybody is listening to has to go viral on TikTok, or like no one's going to listen to it. Like that's how things are taking off, and like I feel like bands aren't really used to that at all.
It's very strange, like trying to like TikTokify everything you do. It's like
but I feel like that's where a lot of like younger bands are kind of benefit a lot more.
It does work though. It's very easy for say five bandmates to get together and be like, oh, we'll just start a TikTok and we'll just post everything we do, and like maybe something does go viral and it promotes them so much, and then maybe they get people reaching out to them. But the fact you have to get to that point to get someone reaching out to you is very abysmal.
It's like lots of bands wouldn't even try to do it. Like I feel like, you know, like you just mentioned Tessio. I feel like Tessio wouldn't make a TikTok, but maybe they would. I don't know.
It depends. They're not them type of people. They have TikTok.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So I feel like that's where like a younger generation, like new up and coming bands, they kind of benefit from that, because like, say they're like 15 now, they've grown up with TikTok. Like what the hell? And like, they just kind of understand it a little bit better and wouldn't feel as alien to them. They upload stuff on it. I guess.
What would you say your favourite song is to play live? Or where do you like performing? Because obviously you've played a good few gigs now, and you sort of played everywhere around Derry.
Where do I like performing? I used to really enjoy playing Nerve Centre. Nerve Centre was class back in the day, but it's not really as much a buzzing venue as it used to be.
Nerve Centre used to be unbelievable. It'd be like, I felt like I was at Glastonbury. But like, see, Nerve Centre don't try and do that anymore. Nerve Centre would try and put on big venues for like the likes of Hothouze. Hothouze were such a huge band. Like they did a whole UK tour. I think they had something like 12 gigs or something like that, and it was unbelievable. But there's just no one's trying to promote small bands. It's just it's saddening.
That's kind of the bad thing about the music scene at the moment. It's like, I feel like venues are kind of oversaturated as well. Like everybody's just kind of playing Sandinos and Bennigans, and then that's all they can do. And that's all you can do, because nowhere else is really.
No one else wants to take you.
Literally, like, you know, if you want to book a gig in the Guildhall, like they're not going to take it. They're just going to be like, no.
That's what I mean. Even years ago, it would be like, oh, we need someone to support the night. There's someone playing. Like there'd always be a band at hand. They're like, that's never going to happen. Like that would never happen in a million years. Now it's like, oh, this is who I want support me. If this doesn't happen, no one else is playing, and that's it. It's weird.
I feel like there used to be so many good bands that went under the radar though as well. And now, like, because like these bands, it's all the same bands. They're all getting like so much attention. That's class. Like, you know, like Tomcat, like Trump. They're like so unbelievably good, unbelievably good. But like, it's kind of like frustrating seeing that they're only able to play the two same places. It's just kind of like, well, what do you do? Like,
I know, it's very sad, but unfortunately, Ryan, that's all we have to talk about today.
Right.
But I'd like to thank you folks for listening to me and Ryan talk about the music scene today.